Lionel Messi? What do you think it does for the Miami
We
sports
getting
culture?
Lionel Messi? I just got done watching Ted Lasso. Anyone watch Ted Lasso? That thing's awesome. I thought you were like pulling my leg because someone told you that.
No?
But I've been like raving about how good Ted Lasso was in the locker room. But I mean, that's awesome. Got another superstar. So, I mean, big names out here in Miami. You know, it's good for the culture out here. Just like you know, what the Heat got going on and what the Panthers got going on.
Tua, coach talked about your ownership of the offense and leadership role here in your second year in this system. Just kind of curious to hear your perspective on how you feel more comfortable in the second year.
Yeah, we feel extremely comfortable coming off of a year having to study, having to, you know, get a good feel of how Mike calls plays, you know, get a feel of the guys running the routes and then the concepts and where guys are going to be and the distribution of those. So it makes it a lot easier when you can transition from that, you know, into this year and not have to learn a new offense.
So what's your initial thoughts on Chosen and how's your time been working with him this offseason?
Yeah, Chosen's a great teammate. He's really fast. He knows how to get the ball. He's been getting the ball a good amount this OTAs, but he's a really good player, just like, you know, everyone in his room.
You're using that new quarterback-specific helmet. Wondering what you learned about what makes it safer and how it feels to play with it on.
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to feel it out. So, you know, what better time to feel it out than OTAs? I heard it's supposedly better than the helmet that I had wearing last year. So, you know, if it could be that much more safe, then, you know, why not give it a shot?
So not sure it's what you'll go with. Not sure you're still feeling it out.
Yeah, still feeling it out. Yeah.
Tua, it looks like you've been in the weight room a little bit this offseason. What are you trying to work on?
Well, I'm trying to work on everything. As much as I'm trying to work on throwing the ball, getting the ball to the guys, you know, being able to push the ball a lot more downfield, you know, getting in the playbook, I'm doing the same with my body. So, yeah.
You brought up culture, right? And Coach McDaniel talked a little bit about bringing the right guys. How much more important is that than maybe some guy with a little more talent doesn't have the right attitude?
Yeah, I think that's really important because if you have someone with talent that does their own thing, it's going to screw up that entire symphony of the offense, the defense, or the special teams. And if you get someone that's less talented but understands what they're doing, their assignment, he's going to be where he needs to be when he needs to be there and whatnot. I mean, it's gonna move like a symphony, and, you know, guys in the back end are going to be able to help that one specific guy, you know, kind of cover his tracks if he's a little, if he's not as good as, you know, per se, you know, someone else at that position. So
And when you put it together, like a guy, like everybody talks about Tyreek's work ethic.
yeah.
When you have guys like that at the top of the food chain, it makes it a lot easier for other guys.
Well, yeah, it makes it a lot easier because, you know, before Tyreek came here, he was a well-known person. You know, he's a superstar in the NFL, and for him to come here, we have a young team, so, you know, a lot of the younger guys look up to someone like him, and now that he's on the team, you know, they see the kind of work ethic he has, they see what kind of person he is in the building, around the building, and it's like, oh, he's a cool dude. He's just like any other person, you know. He's not this I'm this ego person. Although everyone in the locker room thinks they're better than everyone, but, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a team, and you know, everyone respects each other in there.
I wanted to ask you about the 10K donation for Eric and the GoFundMe. I guess what inspired you to do that for a fan that was really that hard about you?
Yeah, well, you basically said it. He's a die-hard fan about me, but out of my respect to him, you know, he basically not just covered me, but the entire Dolphins. And so for me to have done that, you know, Tyreek was able to do the same. Other guys have been able to do the same as well, to donate. But I just want his wife and his kids to know that we're praying for them, and that we're thinking of them.
Tua, I wanted to ask you about the helmet cam. What was your reaction when they first approached you about doing it? Were you on board? Were you like, oh, this is kind of strange? And how's it helped you?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you think of the integrity of the huddle. Like, man, do I really want, you know, the coaches to hear what I'm saying to the guys? Because sometimes you might not like a play, and you go into it, and it's like, you know, you tell the guys how you feel, but you basically tell a guy, hey, I'm like skipping this progression to come to you, so you better be there. Well, it has its good and it has its bads. That was like one of the things that we felt wasn't as good, but a lot of the cool things that you can do with that is, you know, like it gives audio for a lot of the new guys so that they can listen to the play over and over and over from the guy giving the play, and then they can listen to the cadence. So when they go off, you know, from OTAs, it'll be good for them to just listen to the cadence over and over and over. You know, that's something that's been big this offseason for us is operation.
So you're going against a Vic Fangio defense every day in practice. I remember going back to your rookie year. That was one of the bigger challenges you had is playing that Denver game over there. What do you remember about that game, and what makes his defenses so difficult to go against?
Yeah, I remember I was getting hit a lot. I was getting confused where to go. I think what he does a really good job with his guys is holding shell in the back end. They do a really good job holding shell and, you know, being able to disguise their coverages in that sense. But there's so many nuances to what they do and how they run their defense. So many coverages, you know, it's not just one. There's like a knockoff of like 6 in just one coverage. So you got to know what they're doing, and if you don't, they'll make you pay.
So I watched, just watching today, there seems to be a motion in a shift, at least one, every single play.
Yeah.
Is that a philosophy where you just want to give the defense as much look at pre-snap as you can?
Yeah, I would say it's something that we've, you know, tried to harp on last year during our operation. What we don't want to do is go out, get the defense set, and just run a play. Those guys on the other side are already good, and so forcing them to have to communicate, you know, backs, you know, shifting the fronts, you know, just having to force them to communicate and not get set and just go out and play football and not have to think.
Tua, when you skip a project of one of the huddle, how does Mike, when you're like, damn, we're not doing it, we're doing this, you know, how does he respond to it?
Well, I won't do that to Mike. I won't do that to Mike. I got too much respect for Mike. It's more of a, I don't like this play, but, you know, what, like, do I know is going to be open, you know, more often than not if I'm given these 3 or 4 coverages. And so that's how I kind of gauge it.
You're not the first quarterback to do that, but it's just now you're more conscious it's on camera?
Well, yes. Yeah, not the only quarterback. But because it's on camera, you start thinking of everything, and then it gets weird when you start hearing yourself calling plays in the huddle, calling cadence. So, yeah.
I think one of the leagues used to have like helmet cam live. You guys remember that? Would you want that to come back to the NFL, like you could watch?
No.
Why not?
Let's not do that. I just think there's too much things that are said on the field that should be said on the field and on the field only, just to keep the integrity of the game with, you know, the guys out there.
To earlier today,
I asked, in the offense, where do you feel like you've made the biggest growth in terms of comfort?
The biggest growth in terms of comfort, I think, for me, it's continuing to work on the little things. One of the things that we've been harping on has been operation. When I think of my position, I think of, you know, what have I done as a leader for the guys up front, for the guys out there, you know, to have gotten, you know, them better, and what have we done? And so, you know, I think we've been doing a great job working operation, doing some cadence deals, motions, you know, trying to work a lot of things just to give some eye candy for the defense and forcing them to communicate in the back end.
Tua, how's it been as the leader of the quarterback room, coming from working with Fitz and Teddy in the past, and now you're taking more of a leadership role? How's that been for you?
It's been good. I think the coolest thing is now that we have James in our room, I'm finally not the youngest in our room, which is great. That blows my mind that I'm going into my 4th year, and it took me 4 years to not be the youngest. And so it was cool. Everyone has their own ideologies of how they like to do things, how they like to prepare, how they like to think of plays, and how they like to go about those. But I think for me, I've been able to learn from all of those guys, being able to learn from Mike as well. You know, with Mike White being in our room, you know, taking a little piece of, you know, what I think is pretty cool that, you know, a person does and trying to implement that into my game.
So I saw a
Last
drill out
question.
here today where you literally did bootlegs for 20 straight minutes.
Yeah.
Right side, left side, hit Tyreek. Like, is it just a reminder that this whole thing, it always comes back to the basics? Like you can never drill it enough?
Yeah, it always comes down to the basics. You know, I was just over there talking to our OC, Frank Smith, telling him about, you know, when are we going to start doing, you know, these plays, like, you know, these plays because the defense, you know, are overplaying this. And he said that Mike wanted to stick to the basics. You know, once everyone, you know, understands where they're going, gets the foundation of it, then we can move on from there. And so that should tell you all, you know, from the drills that we did.